Although I did list this consulting engineering, and then I'll discuss first building construction, because building construction is something that, if you haven't heard the term perfect project, a perfect project is one that's designed on paper but never has to hit the streets. It never has to be tested against the contractors, it never has to be tested against the products that are actually available to do the design. A perfect project is really nice on the consulting end of things because the liability is very low and your consulting team hopefully learned a lot of lessons, but they also didn't understand where the project, where they made mistakes or where they need to make. So ideally, as a consulting engineer, we design projects that aren't perfect projects. Most of them, some of them might be, but they get built. So our goal is to understand the business case for construction, and that's an aspect of consultancy, so that you can understand that if I'm on the owner side and I need to come up with a reason to build a building because it costs money. So let's say if I'm a healthcare facility, I need to discuss with user groups. There's levels of demand for services. There's a load profile for the services of demand as far as how many people come into that building at once and at which frequency and for which reasons. And so there's experts on the owner side, and their teams spend a lot of time, hopefully, figuring out why they need to build a building. And so they may understand that they do need to have a building, but the life cycle, the total life cycle ownership of that building, because you could design a really excellent building for the purpose, but if, especially today, the efficiency of the building isn't great, you might be paying really high energy costs. And so it's a total understanding of the need from the client side, because they also have funding limits. Usually they're working with within funding sources, and they may be even trying to get board approvals. They are seeking out sources of funding by grants. For instance, they may be held to certain requirements, such as like a Buy American, such that the dollars have to be so federal dollars, or otherwise they just have stipulations in order to be refunded for reimbursement. So once there's a business case to have, and hopefully within that business case, they have gone through and understood what the life cycle cost of it is going to be, not just within the building efficiency, but within the stuff that's put in there. So as engineers, if we decide to provide them a primary service, which means that we work with the utility company they would own that transformer, and they might have lower energy costs, and there could be good reasons to do this. But now the question is, who's now going to maintain that medium voltage, the transformer, a liquid pad mount transformer that's sitting outside? So the conversation with the client from the engineer might be understanding what their facility staff capabilities are and what their in-house versus their third-party capabilities are as well. This, again, just dabbling in the concept of before we even decide a building, because we can design a really good one, but if there's not a reason to build one, so we need to understand the reason. So once there's a business case to build, they need to go find the AE, the architect or the engineer or both. Usually the architect is the prime contract holder, but it could also be an E-prime contract. So if it was just, for instance, science lab of some sort, maybe an industrial test cell of some sort, that really the walls need to be dictated by the engineer. You might have an E-prime, and then there's subcontract holders under that. The projects can range because they can be greenfield or brownfield sites. So like a brownfield site would be that there is already some sort of existing utilities, or a greenfield site where there are none. So there's a higher engagement from the local jurisdictions to engage that project. There's larger timelines and So this aspect of finding an AE is important for the client to help navigate these project constraints and hurdles. And in order to find the AE, they normally form an owner project requirements, an OPR document, or they might just put out a request for proposal if they necessarily haven't formed an owner project requirements. But there's various mechanisms when they are putting out a request for bid. So it could be an RFB, an RFQ, an RFQ could be a request for qualification. A request for bid might be in different contexts to what we're saying for construction. They may just be trying to buy a material, a quantity materials. Once they have found the AE, they contract, and the contract could be a lump sum or it could be a time of materials. They're looking to design a building. And those architects and engineers have marketing teams that put together the materials that's required by the RFP to show examples of their past projects, who it is that they will be working on the projects, and seek to win the projects. To deliver the projects, a typical project would be like a design, bid, build project. But there's also what's referred to as integrated design delivery methods. So instead of finding a design team, especially in the bid climate right now, it's common for a design build method or a design assist, where the owner will go find the contractor or find an architect, and then otherwise have a team, the two of them together, before the construction documents are produced, to make sure, or hope to make sure, that the budgets and the bidding is all going to be aligned with their budgets. Procurement would be the aspect of, yes, delivering the project, which I said it could be a couple different ways. A construction manager is a common way, pretty common way now. It could be a construction manager at risk or not at risk. So in which case they could bid on the project or not bid on the project, and they're just facilitating multiple general contractors and all the subcontractors, and they're finding opportunities to combine fees, the additional fees, such that like trash cleanup on sites, things like this. Symboling deliverables. So this here is getting into the concept of how exactly we now you had a business case and you found an AE, and the goal is to deliver the project. So you're going to go through a design process, which is what a consulting engineer is their activity. Is working with an architect to assemble deliverables and go through a concept design, a schematic design, a design deliverable, and then to a construction document phase. Following is a construction administration phase, and within that might be acceptance testing, startup of equipment, and functional performance testing. Or integrated system testing of the entire systems of all the electrical, mechanical, and even the building envelope. This is, I attempted at least to explain the case for building construction. Are there any questions on things I've said? Okay, great. I think all of you were anticipating that there would be reasons to build buildings, and good ones at that, and there's a process. So